that it does that. Yeah.
Right?
I love StreamYard. Yeah. StreamYard, number
Woo!
one. The best.
You're the best.
Around.
It's like a Japanese commercial. Streamer number one. Okay, we got the
lipstick
link.
for men. To a tribute.
Wow. Get the link.
Joey
Sorry,
Tribb's
just getting it right now.
greatest film actor of all time. Hey, he did a scene with Gary Oldman. So
he did. A drunk Gary Oldman.
Very playing a completely different British.
Almost missed his friend's wedding. That he was the fucking officiant for.
Yes. Good detail. That's what we could do next. Could do a friends. What we watch every episode together, or like.
Ooh, that's a long. It's funny that we mentioned that kind of right now because that does go with today's episode. Little teaser right there.
That's true. Oh, that's true.
Didn't think about that.
You just wait and see, folks.
Yeah.
I know you're already waiting for it. We're warming up here. Just you wait and see. Show is about to go underway. Thank you for joining us, avid viewer. Maybe you might be my wife. You might not be. I don't know. That's what I get for mentioning it.
She's like, you mentioned me, I'm gone.
It's over.
I was like, damn. You're good to run the thing. I sent the link out. My apologies.
All right.
We are golden.
Hitting it.
It's the movie
Hit it.
Toasty Show. Here for you. Dennis and Adam joke about orgasms and sweet movie reviews. We talk about TV too, right?
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Movie toast.
Woo.
Hey, what's up, Adam? It's good to see you, my friend. And for you toasties who don't know, this old man is another year older. Let's wish Adam a happy birthday. A little belated, I know, but it's we'll get it in on the show here. Movie Toaster Adam's birthday was recently.
More importantly, happy 178th episode. Happy belated Hanukkah to those who just had Hanukkah. Merry pre-Christmas to those who are celebrating that. Happy Kwanzaa. We're not saying New Year's because we get an episode before that, so fuck the New Year. It's all about 178, not 179.
We got a little time left. How you doing, Adam?
Yeah. I'm great, man. I mean, as you know, we recently just had Movie Toast of the Festival, the 3rd annual version, and it went off without a hitch.
Yes.
Oh, man. Fucking can't wait for next year. I don't know how we're going to top this year. I don't know if we can.
We keep saying that, but we keep doing it. So I'm not going to, I don't have any problems with that. I firmly believe we will continue to make something interesting. I'm looking forward to the next one. I'm looking forward to seeing what short films we get to watch this next year. Our Capital B Films, one of our favorite submitters. That team has done such great work, and
they tease. They tease that they're coming with a new genre next year. They don't know which one, but they're honing in on something.
Oh, that is one of my favorite things about those guys. They are continuing to push those boundaries, push those limits, and find what stories are interesting to them at that time. Continuing to rise to new challenges. That is what is really interesting in storytelling.
Hell yeah.
Great work. We saw so many. Our Golden Toaster Award winner was a fantastic representation of filmmaking there in every department yet again, which should always be the mark of that award there.
Not even in English. That's right, folks. We don't fucking specify what language your film's in. We don't care. You don't even need dialogue. There were some films without dialogue. Conveying emotional stories is the important thing.
Oh, man. God, yeah. Getting locked in that. That was... And what's funny, when we were watching that, my wife was in the room as well, and it was something that... It was so impressive that even in that short... now the title is escaping me.
Bound.
Even in the short film Bound, it was so fast. It went by so quick, but it conveyed so much story and so much emotion in such a short period of time. Excellent work. I mean, again, this is why it was so hard for us to whittle down the films
Look,
that we were
what you just said, what you said right there about your wife being in the room. It's funny because you and we've watched the film so many times. We deliberated over everything. We've watched the festival a time or two, but when you and I are backstage watching it together and just hearing you and Val talking and her comments and reactions to things, that made it fun. That made me wish we're back in a theater doing it to get a whole reaction. But I like the fact that we can simulcast out to everyone in the world at once. That's the nice beauty part of Movie Toast, the festival.
As with our first year's winner, still one of my favorite films of all of the shorts we've ever shown, which there are many. Please don't get me wrong. Yes. I have a lot of favorites. That's just, high up there with the others. But Madame Grenier still was so fantastic. And to be able to share another, a film from France to come around the world. We had film from Canada. We had films from Spain this year. We had oh man, that was exciting. Even
this podcast right here, we're getting downloads. Our top downloads currently is the public of Iran, I think. And a while ago, we used to have like a crazy Irish following. Like you never know what's gonna hit, where it's gonna hit.
And then even if they don't speak English, something. We just had a lot of streams from Japan. So thank you for joining us, the Japanese fan base. Welcome. Or the folks joining us from there. It's really great to hear. I hope your fandom of film will keep you coming back. Without further ado, though, I think we are about ready for some poll action. What do you think? You ready to climb up there?
You're right, dude. I think so. Let's roll that thing. Polls. I want to count how many times we say polls during the song.
Yeah.
All right, Dennis. Up first, I watched the new Disney animated film Wish and talked about it and reviewed it on episode 177. So I wanted to know which modern day Disney animated film is the favorite of the Toasties out of Tangled, Wreck-It Ralph, Big Hero 6, and Zootopia. Please don't worry about the crawl where it's Big Hero and 6 Zootopia. That was a typo. Apologies. And I even proofread these. Not good enough.
I hate to admit, I still haven't.
You've seen none of these.
6. No.
You got to get.
I really liked watching Tangled in theaters. First time I saw that was in 3D. So that movie looks really fucking good. The that scene when they're on the boat in the lake with all of the candle lanterns floating around looked so awesome, and the songs are really good in that movie. I thought Tangled was beautiful. Wreck-It Ralph scratched that gamer itch in me though, and I really like the story there is fantastic.
And Mario and Sonic on screen together.
Kelsey Riley
fantastic cast.
Killed it in that movie. I think for me personally, I would have to go to. Oh yes! Oh my god! They're so good. Wreck-It Ralph, I think, is probably what I would go with. But to be honest,
with you.
I've only seen 2. I haven't seen Zootopia, so I can't speak.
It's all right. Let me tell you, Big Hero 6, fantastic. Zootopia, fantastic. Wreck-It Ralph, I think I love the most. I see the appeal in Tangled. I get it, but I highly suggest. Little known fact: Big Hero 6, technically a Marvel movie. I think is based off a Marvel comic. Which
right. It is actually a comic book based. Yeah, which is funny because I think I've heard that theory that the Pixar universe is a part of the Marvel universe now. Like it's some shit, by extension, it is some dimension that exists within the Marvel universe because of this
possibly
leap.
Right. But all right. So the Toasties have spoken. And if you're wondering, if you're new to the show, who the fuck are the Toasties? That's what we call the listeners. But where are they voting? They're heading over to X at movie_toast. Normally every Saturday I put up some polls and that's where they vote. That's where these results come from. So surprisingly to me, 0% for Big Hero 6.
Wow.
11.8% for Wreck-It Ralph. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe people just haven't seen it.
There's a lot of love for that movie. What? These are not the results I was expecting. Okay.
I was thinking Hero 6 might get a little love, no love, but Wreck-It Ralph got the least amount of love in second place, I guess, out of the votes that came in. We're going 23.5% for Tangled, leaving 64.7% for
Wow.
Zootopia.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jason Bateman as the Sly Fox. Fun times. I like it.
And
they're making a
Jason
sequel.
Bateman now, right? Like that guy is
I
pretty
think so.
fantastic in basically everything he says.
Right? It's funny talking about Disney movies, how now they're releasing the 3 Pixar movies that came out during the pandemic in theaters in the beginning of 2024. I was at the theater the other day and they put up a cardboard cutout for Soul. And like just to see it saying coming out like January 4th, 2024, I'm like, that's trippy. I feel like I saw this same cardboard cutout like 4 years ago. I can go home and watch this movie.
It's still
And
back
honestly, some of these movies I don't love, but I think I might go see them in theater just for the little support and love.
I was gonna say, what was the one right at the beginning that we all really dug?
Was that the one we did commentary for? Onward?
Onward.
I mean, that's a Disney movie, yeah. Came out right as the pandemic was really hitting, right before things shut down. And we did a fantastic, in my opinion, commentary track for that movie.
Yes.
Check it out. It's earlier in the archive.
Please.
Yeah.
And if you time it right, you can line it up with your movie to watch with us if you're feeling so festive. But
yes,
no, that was a solid one.
Yeah.
But yeah, what you got next?
Speaking of solid, I have on episode 177, I reviewed the new Christmas movie Family Switch. So I wanted to know which non-Freaky Friday body swap movie is the favorites of the Toasties out of The Hot Chick, The Change Up, Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, and Freaky. Another Jason Bateman movie tossed in here because I don't know. I like
good choice.
Yeah.
Jumanji.
I'm surprised by some of these turnouts. I'm not gonna lie. Numbers were interesting to me, and I like them.
Nice. I'm curious what your choice would be though, because I don't think I could guess because there's too many that are speak to me. They're very hard.
I love The Change Up when it came out. Saw a screening of it with Rick, our guest host who comes again. We loved it. We saw it a couple of times in theaters. Jason Bateman, Ryan Reynolds swapping bodies. You think it's fantastic. Went back and rewatched it a few years ago. Didn't hold up as much. Loved Jumanji.
Are a little, yeah.
Watching those characters switch bodies, act as one another. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But Freaky. I really dug Freaky. Jason Bateman, Vince Vaughn as the serial killer, but then swap bodies with like a teenage girl. It's kind of fun to watch. And a weird scene where this grown man wants to make out with this young teenager. It's funny and odd. I don't know. It's a really good movie. The Hot Chick, I enjoyed it when it came out. I have it on DVD somewhere. Have I watched it in a while? Probably not.
The peak Schneider phase, I would say.
Yes.
That was when he was really just in all of that stuff. Deuce Bigelow.
I guess, I guess I'll say The Change Up. I don't know. Any of these? Do you like any of these? I feel like you probably haven't seen all of them.
Jumanji was my choice.
Fair enough.
Because to have all 4 of them having to play so far off what their perceived like appearance was, what their perceived characters and interpretations were. I think they all did a really good job of nailing that sort of uncomfortable presence. I mean, after a certain point, watching The Rock on screen, he does just become The Rock, But everyone, I think, really did a great job of trying to play someone else. So I think that's why we still have more of these movies coming. So
true,
that's my choice. Yeah. What about the Toasties? Definitely. What do they have to say?
So there is a tie for last place. 15.8 for The Change Up and 15.8 for Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle.
Figures. Look at that.
At least I got love.
We are at the bottom of the list again.
I guess that's just a thing here. Whatever we give a bad review to must be a good movie. Whatever we give a great review, maybe a terrible movie. Who knows?
I never knew this is what our show meant.
Right? You just got to go with the flow, I guess. And then we, for third place, 31.6% for Freaky. Surprisingly, 36.8% for The Hot Chick. I put The Hot Chick on there thinking it would get no love. A movie from, I want to say, 98, maybe 2000?
Yeah.
I didn't think there was that much love for Anna Faris and Rob Schneider switching bodies with one another. But apparently.
Okay. It's surprising enough.
Yeah.
There we go. They have spoken. That's hilarious. Okay, guys.
Right?
Interesting choice. but I respect it. I respect it. You know what you
Yeah.
like. Maybe we're due back
Right.
for yet another one. Let's
Hell yeah.
let's have Rob
Speaking
Schneider
of
swap
due for
bodies
another
again.
one, you reviewed First Blood last episode on
That I
177.
did.
And I think you're coming in for a little double feature review of First Blood Part Deuce and
Oh,
Rambo Trez.
I'm gonna do a 1-2 punch of a couple of Rambo flicks if you're up for 2 reviews in one. If that's cool with
Oh,
you,
I hope
Adam.
so. Let's do it.
All right. So, as you folks may have heard in the last episode, I fell head over heels for the first Rambo film. That was a fantastic piece of filmmaking, and it's one of those that, like, I finally understand the importance that film holds in the history of action filmmaking. It is so incredibly well done, but it was quickly followed up and over the next few years with the second and third Rambo film, and that's what I'm about to review.
Nice.
Rambo First Blood Part 2, as well as Rambo 3. But first, Part 2. So this tells the story of Rambo's called back into action. He's tried to live a peaceful life, and he's called
Wait,
back
he's
for a
called back
mission.
into action. Weren't people after him in the first one and like
Oh, he's in prison.
saying he was like a menace? Okay.
Rambo is in prison at the beginning of this one.
See, I've
and,
never seen
his
Rambo's.
commanding officer is like, we can cut your sentence short. Just come do this job for us. But it's like, oh, but it's sure it's really deadly. And it's like, well, yeah, of course it is, because you know we're asking a prison inmate to do this mission. Well, I guess I'll do it then, because this is all the thing I know how to do, and that's my best.
So
I'm
essentially,
sorry,
for me, this would be the beginning of MacGruber's movie, where MacGruber's called back into action. Okay, I knew that was spoofing something.
That is, yeah. There you go. No, you nailed it. So there are POWs that are in being held in a base where they're trying to say we have no prisoners. There is very minimal military presence here. There's no, like, it's not worth it. Don't even go check it out. The U.S. government's even saying, like, it's not worth. There's no one to rescue. We've taken photos of the base. There can't be anyone there. But the intelligence says otherwise. So he is sent in by this third party, like a security contractor firm, more or less, that they are being backed by like the CIA to go and just, all right, Rambo, you just go in and take pictures. And of course, when he gets there, he finds the prisoners that are being kept there, and they've been there for years now. And he's not going to just walk away from them. So he tries to plot a way to break them out. And more or less, the whole story of this film is he's kind of getting back into the groove of what he was doing. It's like seeing Rambo check back into the office, and he's back into his natural environment. He gets the bow back out again and does cool shit with that. But what I noticed immediately is this movie felt bigger than it needed to be right off the bat. The first time you see Stallone, he's way more jacked, way more. It was clear. We get all this coverage of his body and his muscles, and it's like, it's all these shots that are just like, oh man, you're really just trying to hype up you got the Schwarzenegger movies going. You know, you've got all of these other big action and sci-fi movie franchises that you're trying to compete against, and we've got to really like punch into what we're trying to sell here. So of course we got to see him with a couple of guns, and we see his fucking etched body, and it just immediately hits me with this thing of just like, oh, okay, all right, so we're gonna take the things people talked about the most in the first movie, and we're gonna just make a whole movie about that. Fair enough.
Heck yeah.
We wouldn't have 10 fucking Fast and Furious movies, or 12, I guess, actually, if it weren't for people just kind of expanding on similar concepts over and over again. And this is what we have here. Now, it's not necessarily a bad thing, so to speak, because they actually do it pretty tight. It looks really good. The struggles he goes through, the locations we're in. I mean, it's shot in the jungle. The stunts look awesome. The explosions and the gunfire are all larger than life. So as long as you're just trying to scratch the sort of action itch, it's still pretty solid. And I still enjoyed it. It was just not the impact that the first film has. So that's why I'm going to give Rambo 2 2.5 slices. It's still fun, but I mean, it's not a 4 slicer like I gave the first one. It's just clearly all right, we're going to start making more of these. And even when this film ended, it still felt like, okay, we're obviously leaning towards another one, which of course that sends me right over to Rainbow 3, which again, with the titles of the movies, First Blood Part 2, Rainbow 3, we're not even thinking about it anymore. We're just going to give it to you again.
I mean, give it what the people want. They just call it Rambo. They don't care about the First Blood. Exactly. You can't have First Blood Part 3. It's like, that's Third Blood. That's crazy.
Third Blood. We've got 3/4 of your blood now. No, we don't. What we get here is Rambo is trying to live peacefully, even though he's not really living peacefully, building temples. He's also doing bare knuckle street fighting to raise money to rebuild the temples that he's working on. And of course, he's called back into action one more time to go back into Afghanistan, where he's going to help the local population fight against the invading Soviet forces who are slaughtering their people. And well, it's not quite the same story. It's not a rescue mission, so to speak. I feel it right from the get-go. As soon as this movie starts, it's like, okay, yep, we are just kind of cranking out big explosions, more fighting, machine guns, muscles. I'm going to give this one 2.5 slices as well. I know I kind of jumped ahead because there isn't that much to give here. It's a very basic story, and nothing was terribly impressive other than the spectacle of the fights themselves. So, of course, he identifies with the local tribes. They have little means, but they still can fight against. And it's these are the same people we've actually fought against in our own modern wars to this day. So the irony there is kind of on the nose, but it's fine. 2.5 slices again. Like I said, they were not the movies that they were that they came from. Like as fantastic as the first film is, the rest of the series is just nothing even close to that first one. So I'm glad I watched them. At least now I feel like I've caught up on something that everyone else, I feel like in many of corners of the film watching world, appreciated for the longest time. So now, I don't know. I guess I'm in on the joke, and some of it's a joke.
There you go.
I don't know.
Hey.
What about you, though? I think you got some from another corner of the world that Rainbow hasn't gone to.
They didn't draw First Blood, but I got this new Japanese movie called Monster. You'd think it's about a monster or a monster movie. I mean, in a way, I guess it is about a monster, but not your typical monster, a human monster. This movie kind of makes you look at the world at large and different perspectives on one instant. So the movie starts off, I'm sorry, I'm going to walk you through a little bit. So pretty much... Okay. There's a young schoolboy, I think I want to say the 5th grade. He comes home one day and he's bleeding from his ear. His nose is bleeding. He's all beat up. He's kind of distraught. His mom asks, what happened? And he's like, Mr. So-and-so, I forget the teacher's name, did this to me, and he says I have a pig blood and I won't learn until pig brain, and I won't learn until I get a real brain. And like, it's just like, holy shit, this teacher abused his student, fucking belittled him in front of his class. So the mother's like, fuck it. She went into school the next day and was like talking to the principal. She's like, your teacher physically assaulted my son and called him kind of like not human, and I want results. And the principal's like, we're sorry, we'll look into it. And then she notices nothing really gets done. And she goes back to the school multiple times. The teacher he apologizes, but it seems insincere. And he seems really slimy and like a piece of shit. And at one point, he even pulls out a piece of candy from his pocket and he eats candy while he's in this essentially what should be a hearing for abusing a student. And everyone just blows it off. And the mother does not want any part of this. And you're like, fuck this teacher. This mother's doing the right thing. And we even hear from another student later on who's like, yeah, the teacher has been like hurting your son, and the whole class has seen it, and we're just keeping quiet because we're all afraid. And he tells this in front of the principal and all these other people. And then after a while, they decide to have a press conference for a conference for the teachers of him admitting what he did. And then like a day or two later, the mother goes back to the school and sees that the teacher's still there. And she's like, what the fuck? And then we get a different perspective. We get the perspective of the teacher. And at one point when he's talking to the mother, he's like, your son's a bully. He's been bullying this one kid. He's like, does your son have like weapons at home or something? And we're seeing from his point of view, we're seeing him disciplining the kid, not even disciplining. He's seeing this kid bullying this kid.
This is the
and
kid
at one
that's
point,
gonna act out like this is the kid that's going to do something fucked up is what he's seeing. In a
way. But he doesn't actually, I don't want to say if he does or doesn't hurt the kid, but there is a scene where contact is made and it might be different from what the kid, what the kid told the parent.
Interesting.
And then we see the perspective of this kid and it's a whole different story of what's going on. And if he is bullying another kid, what's going on? And it's just this interwoven story. And like, you kind of change perspectives of who you trust and who you want to believe and who you follow. And we even learned that there's some fucked up shit going on with the principal. And I knew nothing about this movie. And this was a beautifully shot film. And the acting was top notch. And the writing was just superb. And it's just one of those movies that's like, holy shit. Because at first you're like, oh, wow, this is terrible. This school's doing the wrong thing. And then like, maybe they're not. Oh, shit, maybe this kid's good. Maybe they're all good. And it was just a fun movie. Like the whole time, you're not fully sure.
Like
it's playing in... Yeah. And it's just so unique to get all these different points of views. And it's not bland and boring. It's like everyone has their reasons for what they're thinking, what they're doing. And it's just beautiful all around. So I'm going to give Monster 3.5 slices of toast, playing in limited theaters currently. If it's playing near you and you don't mind reading subtitles, I'd say it's definitely worth checking out, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
There we go. I think we got our first tag team of the night coming up next, though.
Ooh, yes. I think so.
All right.
A new Netflix movie. Maybe not new. It's been out for a bit. Want to tell the folks about it?
That's right. It's a little flick starring Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore, December. So this is an interesting perspective of this story. So we're coming in 20 years after the actual event that takes place that this film is kind of centered around, where a adult woman has an affair with a high school student who was underage. And at this point in time in their lives, they're actually married, have 2 kids together. They've lived their lives.
Three kids.
3 kids. You're right. 3 kids. And they've just bared through everything. There's the ex-husband with the previous marriage and everything that still exists. And we don't really talk to those kids very much anymore. And it's very awkward when we do interact. But a movie is being made about their story. Natalie Portman plays the actress who is playing Julianne Moore's character in the film. And she's taken the opportunity to spend some time living with the family, living in their home, to learn much more about Julianne Moore's character, the woman she is, to try to portray her correctly in the film. And it just starts stirring up some dark, twisted situations where, as she's diving deeper into the psychology of the character, she's trying to emulate her more and more, and kind of getting her fingers into the issues that already exist within the family. And this is really how the film like starts unraveling. This is what caught me in the trailer. I'm like, wow, the plot of this is like disgusting and horrifying, but I'm fascinated by it at the same time. It strikes me as something that should be very demanding of the acting prowess of 2 very talented actors between Moore and Portman. Immediately, I was just like, yes, I'm in. I want to check this out. I don't know. What was your initial reaction to? Was talked about, like the story of the film, I guess.
I didn't know what the story was. I didn't want to watch the trailer. I just wanted to go in, and I honestly, for some reason, I thought it was a story. And here's what I thought. I thought the movie was going to be about like a teacher having a relationship with a student, but I thought it was Natalie Portman was the student, and she was in a relationship with Julianne Moore, who was the teacher or something like that.
Okay.
And so it was a little different, but I was pleasantly surprised when the title card came up and I saw it was a Gloria Sanchez movie. I'm like, okay, Will Ferrell's production company's doing this. This is different.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's a comedy. But yeah, I thought very interesting setup, very intriguing premise, something that's happened loosely, stuff like this happens in real life.
Yes. Yeah.
And I thought this is a cool take because we're seeing someone doing their research. We're seeing how it affects the family. We're seeing the family. We're getting different takes. But I felt like the movie just dragged on a lot. And a lot of this could have been condensed into like a shorter movie and could have been a little more snappier. Like we're just seeing mundane things. I know we're learning a little bit here and there, but nothing is really happening or being done. Until the very end, I feel like
a 2-hour runtime. We're getting these tiny little bits. We get we establish who everyone is. We're learning a little bit about the story. We're learning about the timeline of how things took place. But it's like every single climb up the ladder, you feel everything take place, and it just starts getting really old and starts dragging. And I'm kind of looking to our cast, to keep it interesting. And it's like their character traits are just so played up, and like you have when Gracie gets uncomfortable or anxious, she has her lisp that it sounds obviously super fake right off the bat, but it sounds so forced too in each of the scenes, like an actress needing to have something to work with on stage or something.
And honestly, none of these actresses, like you said, they're powerhouse actresses. They're phenomenal actresses, but the characters are so there's nothing. I kind of despise most of the characters, and they're not interesting or original. Like I don't really care about Julianne Moore's character. She's annoying. Natalie Portman's character is just kind of stoic, and you can tell she's stirring up trouble, but she doesn't really have any need or purpose. She's overstaying her welcome. The husband I was intrigued by, especially when he's texting someone else, and the kids were kind of interesting, but the main two characters, I don't know.
I don't want to rag on it, but the guy playing the husband was not strong enough for me throughout the film. He could not stand up against.
He was all over the
other
place.
People. Oh my God. And it just felt so shallow, the delivery throughout everything, when he had people who were desperately trying to dig at their dialogue and the script in order to play some sort of character on screen. And then even then what they were showing just wasn't anywhere. You know what's funny? I was trying to explain this movie to someone recently, and they immediately said back the same thing I thought in my head when I was watching this movie, and what Val said to me as well when we were watching this movie. It's like trying to watch Natalie Portman do Black Swan again, but not as good. And we've seen
I can see that.
this beautiful, beautiful performance of this broken, shattered soul, sort of like trying to create this idealistic image of the thing they're accomplishing, using just digging down into the deepest parts of themselves, tearing themselves apart in order to throw what they have up in front of the audience, in front of them. We've seen it before, and was done way, way, way better in another movie.
Sure.
We've seen Julianne Moore be the unfaithful wife way, way better in a couple other movies before. And it's just, I don't know, man. I
feel like I wanted so much more out of it. I wanted more conflict. I wanted more story, but things just happened, and it felt like a mundane life. And I get that's what they're going for. And I don't want to say I totally hated the movie, because there's aspects I kind of liked. I will say it's shot beautifully. I think for the most part, it looks nice. The setting is okay. It's the one thing that seemed very weird to me. Yes. Nice. It's not based on a real story, but some reason it takes place in 2015, and we find that out at the end, I think. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why is that necessary?
To frame it on these certain things. Maybe to limit certain aspects of technology so that information didn't move too fast, I guess. But I'm not really, I don't know. I'm with you. There's so many, I feel like, unnecessary details. The sets constantly felt underdressed. Like they had these random moments of just very empty rooms and things, and just, I don't know. There were scenes where it seems like we kind of just turned up on the day, banged it out, and moved on. And this whole movie kind
Probably.
of felt sort of rushed, even though it's 2 hours long and it feels like it drags as fuck. Nothing quite sunk its teeth into me, and I couldn't get excited about this one. I was very much looking forward to it. I was looking forward to this uncomfortable, dark storyline, and I'm like, I kind of wanted to be disturbed by what was happening. And the only thing I was disturbed by was how much I didn't like this movie. I'm going to give it 1.5 slices of toast. I wanted to like it more, and there was things that I'm like, I can see what you were going for. It just never lined up for me personally. Maybe there's something else in there I just can't quite identify with, but I don't know, man. I couldn't give it more than that.
Like the posters in the stills I've seen of the movie and the premise, I kind of expected a bit of a thriller, maybe an erotic thriller, something I wanted so much more out of it. But
yeah, I thought something was going to happen with Natalie Portman and their kid. Like I thought she was going to follow. Like I thought she was going to follow through. I wanted to. Like I hate to admit it, I would rather that I was more disturbed.
Watch the making of the movie.
Like that happened. No, like oh yeah, oh god, that was.
Or
why did you? Like, you finally got to like making me. You achieved it. You know, like the filmmaker finally made me feel disgusting. And they did it in the last few seconds, and then it ended. And I'm like, end on a perfect note.
But and another thing, like we see Natalie Portman's character kind of morphing and understanding her, like when she's talking to the director or the casting director, and she's like, these Hollywood kids, they're all right, but they're not sexy enough. And I'm like, holy shit,
disgusting.
But that's what I wanted out of this movie.
Exactly. And we never fully committed. And I hate to say those words given the subject matter, but given the setting in that this is so much later after the initial event, I get why we're treating it this way.
Sure.
I just don't feel like the rest of the movie followed suit. We just had these few moments where we pushed it. We then just never lived there. And that's what I think, that's what would have shocked me. That's what would have shook me to my core. And I would have been glued just because I couldn't believe that they, followed through, but they did.
Sure.
So
you gave 1.5 slices. I think I'm going to give it 2. I'm going to give it 2 slices myself.
Fair enough.
I slightly liked a little more than you, I think, but I'm in the same ballpark as you. It could have been much better. But, at least we didn't pay to see it in theater. It's on Netflix, so we paid for the subscription, but it's there for free.
So.
You're getting your money's worth with the service.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think you got a solo review up next.
I do. All right, so I got a new anime film right now from a very popular anime Studio Ghibli. They're the people that did the movie Spirited Away, My Neighbor Totoro, Howl's Moving Castle, Princess Mononoke. A lot of very big acclaimed anime movies, and the director of a lot of their movies, very renowned director, Hayao Miyazaki, came out of retirement to do this movie, and there's been a lot of buzz about this. So I was pumped. I was ready for this. I saw it at the newly opened Alamo Drafthouse in Boston. Kind of a little letdown by that, but I'm talking about the movie The Boy in the Heron. All right, so this movie, it starts off, there is a war going on in Japan, a little bit of a period piece. A boy's mother dies in collateral damage, and about a year after that, the father decides to up and move him and his son to the area where his mother grew up, and they're going to live with the her sister. But what's very weird here is the father is marrying the sister of the mother, and she's already pregnant. And they're like, well, this is your new mom. You're going to have a baby brother or sister. And it's like, this is fucked up. A year ago, the mother died, and you're just springing his aunt is now his stepmother. I'm already kind of lost at this. But then it goes on. You can't really tell if the boy likes the new mother, or dislikes her. But one thing leads to another, and she disappears. She's almost ready to give birth, and she up and disappears. And there's a whole search party to find her. And this boy discovers a portal to another dimension, and it turns out that he has to go there because she's there. He finds out, and he has to find her. And it's like, all right, this is an all right, intriguing premise, but then it deviates and goes on these weird side quests. Like, he has to go through this graveyard. There's some birds that are kind of attacking him. He then befriends like a fisherman woman. Then he befriends, I don't. It's just all these random things happen. It feels like they're like
a lot of random Ghibli tropes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
It feels like they want to make a Ghibli movie and they don't know where they want to go with it. They're just throwing things at the wall, and it becomes like a multiverse kind of thing almost. And it's just so convoluted.
That's new subject matter these days.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Bullshit. I'm done with it. I think a lot of people are done with it. But it's like, this movie looks beautiful. I liked it. But my brother, he kind of pointed out it's a little more animated, a little more CG, not as hand-drawn. And it's like, yeah, but that's the times. I can forgive that. There's some very beautiful scenery in this, like the lands they go to, the creatures. It has the flourishes of what you want out of Studio Ghibli, the looks of the characters. And don't get me wrong, I saw the American dub version because it has a fantastic cast. You get Florence Pugh, Christian Bale, Willem Dafoe, Robert Pattinson, Mark Hamill, Dave Bautista, and a bunch of other people. People giving great performances. Wow. Yeah, fantastic. And needless to say, I assume the Japanese cast is great, but
sure.
I don't know. I'd rather hear these voices I kind of know. But it just didn't hit like the other Ghibli movies. There's so many better Ghibli movies, but it's still a treat to see an anime on the big screen, especially from a studio that I know and love. So I have mixed feelings on this film. If it was a more streamlined movie, I would have liked it, but the plot was so convoluted and just all over the place. It lost me. But it was beautiful, well acted, well directed, but just not there. I would say see it in the theaters if you like Ghibli, if you like anime, definitely. And honestly, I could be wrong because people love this movie. This movie's been rave reviews from everyone, just not for me, maybe. And don't get me wrong, I love anime movies.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
This one, not so much. I'm going to give The Boy and the Heron, I'm going to give it 2.5 slices of toast. It's like the middle of the line for me.
Okay.
Could be better. Could be better. I don't know if I guess it could be worse, but it could be much better, I think.
Fair enough.
I feel bad, but that's
it sounds like, well, your reaction was kind of like this. I felt like the speed of the Rambo sequels I watched where, I didn't stop watching them. Obviously I got to the third one, but I was still like, wait, what?
But here's the thing. It's funny. I was sitting there. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about this. I don't really care what happens to these characters. I don't care about the characters. I don't care about the story. I didn't need to finish it. And it's funny, my brother's like, I wanted to leave halfway through. He went out to fucking go vape. He was so bored and he paid for the tickets and he was excited. And I'm like, sorry, honestly, I could have walked out too, but I am a completionist and I want to finish a movie.
I'm with you. Yeah,
and I wanted to know what happened. And you can kind of tell where the movie's going to go for the most part, but it lingers for way too long, like my review. I think we could talk about something else that we both watched over on Netflix again.
Let's do another tag team. This one I am quite excited for, as I am a big fan of the apocalypse, post-apocalyptic genre, but Leave the World Behind, available for streaming now on Netflix. We both checked it out. All right, man. How about you crack this one off?
All right. So this is a feature film based on a novel, I suppose. I don't know the novel, but it's written and directed by the creator of Mr. Robot, Sam Esmail. And it stars Julia Roberts, Marshala Lee, fucking Kevin Bacon, but he's barely in it, Ethan Hawke. So essentially, and some other folks. It's a very minimal cast. So Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke are husband and wife. Julia Roberts wakes up one day. She's kind of unhappy. They live in the big city, New York, of course. And she just wants to get away for a little bit. She finds this beautiful rental house in Staten Island where they could get away and just spur of the moment. We're going to take the kids. We're going to go on vacation. Cool. Let's do it. They go. And then they're at the beach, and a tanker ends up washing ashore.
A shipping tanker just plows into the beach, full speed, fucking no brakes. And it's the spectacle you would think that would look like, right? It is incredible. The sound is huge. Everyone panics. We run and sprint up the beach, and it's that, like, I loved that initial sort of like apocalypse moment of like the first meteor or the first
impact coming.
It's the oh fuck, but it's that unsettling calm afterwards of just like, we're just gonna pretend that didn't fucking happen. Like, we're not gonna bother to try to figure anything out.
Exactly. The internet's down, the phones are down. Everyone is kind of cool with it, except for Julia Roberts. And then things spiral out of control where the owner of the house shows up with his daughter. Julia Roberts doesn't know if she wants to believe that it's the owner and his daughter. Things seem a little fishy. She doesn't understand. They want to stay there, but Ethan Hawke is... Sorry.
He like Ethan Hawke is super aloof, but from Julia Roberts, you almost get a sense it's sort of a racial bias.
Racist,
like as soon as a black man and his daughter shows up at the door of this house they're staying in,
wealthy, well-to-do.
Like, oh, this is your house. Like, it's and you immediately feel like this is where she's coming from. Whereas Ethan Hawke is just like, oh
yeah, come on in.
Well, this must, and it's where,
and like, he says things that prove.
Yes,
he clearly is. If he's not the person who owns the house, he knows the person. He has the key to the cabinet with liquor. He knows where everything's located, and
it's still
to her chagrin. Ethan Hawke says, "Let them spend the night. They were in the city. There's a whole story why they're there." And things start spiraling. Weird shit starts to happening, and it's just like, is there an apocalypse? Is U.S. being invaded? Nobody knows what's going on, and it's unsettling and interesting.
Yes, I loved that. This is the slow buildup I can really appreciate, because this is where you can really soak in the talent of your cast, and you're just watching.
Yes,
like the kids were even great when they're looking out in the forest and they find the shed and they see the deer. She just wants to watch some fucking Friends, man. Like,
yes, she's at. Did you and Val have the moment I had? You're like, okay, she's just binged Friends. She loves Friends. She lives Friends. Does she realize someone looks exactly like her mother is on the show? Because Julia Roberts has her cameos.
Okay, if she watched every episode, there's a woman that looks just like her in season 2. Just saying. That's what she tried to make a fool of Chandler one time, but that's a great call. I hope other people notice that too, or remember that detail at the very least. I would have hoped, but there would have been a little dialogue. That woman's really pretty. Like, have her watching it in the background, and maybe too on the nose. But the cast was fantastic in this one. And this is a slow burn that I really cherish
because it pays off and it bubbles and there's something always visually happening. The camera movements, the camera setup, the set design, the locations, everything is fantastic on this movie.
The music, like, it was quiet when it needed to be quiet, and then it would come up when they were dancing, listening to the record player, going through the record. Like, I love that shit. That old banger from the 90s was fantastic that she put out.
Right.
This one was really damn good, and there was very little that took me out of watching this movie. Even down to the very end, and I'm not sure if we want to spoil exactly like that last.
I don't think we should say what happens, but that needle drop in the way it ended, fan-fucking-tastic. I'm on board.
We let me just phrase it this way. We own the same thing, and I watched it the same way.
Yes, and the discovery of what happens, the payoff for this one character, that is just so fucking beautiful. The life of this character is set. Like, it's honestly, I would watch a sequel to this movie to find out what happens next. They leave you wanting more, and in the best kind of way.
That would be so
cool. Or see another story told with other people in this happening. Do a Cloverfield type situation. I don't know.
Over there.
Yes.
Does he go fucking hard up and like snap and go crazy, or does he do exactly what he says? You know, we were talking about
Mhm.
Fallout a little bit before
Yeah.
we started recording. This world feels like these would be the moments right before a Fallout like universe would begin, and that's one of the things I like about this is our current society's version of that realization. There's so many people that wouldn't even fucking notice when it kicks off.
Mhm.
And this is exactly how I would imagine it would take place for a lot of people. Executive producers, the Obamas, Barack and Michelle
Right.
Obama. Are you trying to tell me like these are the fucking documents that went across his desk that he's like, by the way, Mr. President, this is the shit we need to watch out for?
Right.
Well, Michelle, I think we should make a movie and let's tell the people this is what could totally fucking happen. Because this is what it felt like.
100%.
Jesus, yes.
And what Marshawn Ali was talking about, like knowing a wealthy friend with the jokes about like the shadowy friends that they have
100%.
and the warnings, so believable.
Semblance, yes. There's some semblance of this. Like I totally believe this is a very realistic like possibility on Earth right now. And that's what's so beautifully terrifying about this movie, and that's why I really enjoyed this one.
And we think we have all the facts, but we still don't know fully what's happening, who's doing it. And honestly, Leave the World Behind. I didn't watch the trailer again for this because I like to go in blind. I thought it was going to be a sci-fi space or apocalyptic, and it was so not what I thought it was. And I was so excited and happy that I had no clue. Yes.
Oh yeah. Yes. No, I'm with you too. I kind of thought it was going to be a big scale sort of like disaster film. No, this is end of society. Like this is so.
I kind of wish I'd seen this on the big screen. I know it played very limited. It would have played perfect.
Yes. No, this is definitely one I'm going to hype.
Especially hearing the sound design.
Oh yeah. Oh god. The sound.
Right? Oh, the piercing noise.
Oh, that was terrible. We had to turn our fucking sound bar down a couple times because it was good. that was on point. I had a killer time, dude. I'm gonna say right now, I'm going to give it 3.5 slices. This was it was striking in that it was scary in the fact that it was felt like it was very possible, very realistic. It was well performed by everyone on screen, and it almost felt too real.
Yeah.
There's so many things about it that were just too close to home, man. And then that's what I really liked about that trip. And I think it's definitely worth watching, especially this day and age.
Right. I'm with you. I think I'm going to give it 3.5 as well. Don't know what's holding me back from the 4. It's so close to being a 4, but by God, am I like, honestly, this has been in my queue since it came out, I think last week. And so it was May, December, but this I was more intrigued by the cast and the creative people behind it. And I almost didn't watch it, but when you said you watched it, I'm like, all right, I want to jump on board and talk about it with you. Even if it sucked, it would have been fun to talk about. I'm so happy that you said you watched it.
We see as much of an American treasure as Julia Roberts is, we don't see her that often in film anymore. So when we do, I feel like, okay, she must have considered the script, gave it a lot of attention. And if she decided to commit, this must be something, right? And same with like Mahershala Ali. I really love that guy's work, and he's got fantastic talent on screen.
Every time I see him currently, I always think, all right, I can't wait for him to be Blade. I feel like he's gonna fucking kill it as Blade.
He would be so badass. Oh my god, that's gonna be.
I'm so stoked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the Blade we always needed. Sorry, Wesley.
Right? I mean, don't get me wrong. I fucking love Wesley's Blade. I am one of my favorite comic book trilogies, but come on, a little fresh MCU blood. And the fact that they're fine-tuning it, probably making it drop the budget so it can be grittier. I think they're doing everything they can to make it right. And he's not just going to do a movie for the fact that he could do it. He's going to do it right, I think. Speaking of doing it right, I have a new movie that's coming out December 22nd. The new movie about a wrestling family named the Von Erich brothers. This movie is The Iron Claw. Once again, didn't really know much about it. I knew it was about wrestling. I knew it starred fucking High School Musical's Zac Efron, The Bear and Shameless's Jeremy Allen White, and honestly, that's about all I really knew about it. And I don't care about wrestling. I didn't even know that this was based on true life stories. But boy, was I hooked. So essentially, they set up that there's this family. They love wrestling. The father was a wrestler. Didn't really work out for him, but he ended up making up his own wrestling syndicate. He had his own thing going down in Texas. He had his own show, and he had these sons who he wanted to raise to become world heavyweight champions. And he pushed these kids so far. And we even hear early on that the family's cursed. And it's like, okay, curses, that's bullshit. But we're watching essentially a 10-year period with this family. And the things that they endure, it makes you believe, holy fuck, there could be a curse on this family. Because there's some fucked up things that happen. And it's brutal. It's intense. And we're kind of following everyone. Everyone has a unique story going here. And what I like is the dad is Holt McCallany. I think his name is. He was the older guy in Mindhunter. And I always get kind of excited when I see him because he's a pretty good actor.
Oh, he's great.
Everyone is giving fantastic performances in this movie. And it's shot so sexy. It has a film look to it. I can't tell if it was or wasn't, but the needle drops, the soundtrack for this just puts you in that time period, and it is so it's fun, it's uplifting, even when it shouldn't be, the music. And the set design is amazing, and the actors are going balls out. The transformation that Zac Efron made, like he looks like a mesh of like Lord Farquaad on like fucking steroids, or Prince Adam as a caveman, He-Man as a caveman, and then Jeremy Allen White, who used to be this skinny little guy, is all bulked up, and you can tell that these guys went through changes and they practiced wrestling and they took it seriously. No one half-assed their performance in this movie. Lily Collins is fantastic in it. Maura Tierney is great. And like, so we're pretty much watching Zac Efron's character, but we're seeing everyone else, but he's the first one who's kind of in line to become a world heavyweight champion. One thing or another happens. His brother, who was going to be an Olympian, the Olympics was canceled that year because of tensions with, I think, Russia. So America pulled out of it. He came back, and then his dad's like, you know what? You should wrestle. You're going to take over. I want you to be the world heavyweight champion. And then it's like, oh shit. Now it's kind of shifted, and Zac Efron's still happy for his brother, but you can tell he's let down.
Momentum, right? Like, he's been working his way towards it.
And then like, that then shifts to another brother, and like it just goes throughout. But there's so much crazy shit that I want to say what happens. I mean, it's I guess facts and in real life what happens, but I feel like it might ruin the story. But it's intense and brutal, and it's like just watching it. It's like this family's put through the ringer physically and mentally, and like it's cool. There's like reenactments of like other famous wrestlers that they're wrestling and whatnot. And it's just fun. It made me care about wrestling when I don't give a fuck about wrestling.
Well, see, I'm with you on that too. I just wanted to like chime in, given in the past, Adam and I had considered doing a short film or sort of project that revolved around sort of a wrestling storyline. And so we did a little bit of research into looking into this sort of era of a lot of these wrestlers. And we grew up hearing certain names, and then we did that project, or we were looking into doing that project. So when stories like this come across, I still have so much respect for it. These are entertainers that are doing something on a scale that so few people can really comprehend, because they're putting their bodies through these incredible paces. Like, in order to sell, like, you can't just say it's fake. I mean, they may stage fights, but the fights are real. Like, they are beating the fuck out of each other.
That's what happens to Zac Efron in this movie. Zac Efron is doing a thing, but something ends up happening to him where he's out of breath and he physically is in pain and he can't get up to fully do what he's supposed to be doing. And then his father looks down at him for that. And I was wrong. It's not Jeremy Allen White's character who then takes the mantle. It's another brother who kind of is more of a showsman and who takes the mantle. And then Jeremy Allen White takes it from him. But it's like you said, one of the things I really enjoyed when we were considering doing this mockumentary wrestling thing was just watching the video of like the wrestlers talking smack on camera, the intermissions, like talking to other wrestlers. There's a whole scene in this where Zac Efron is trying to deliver a line, but he keeps fucking up, and just watching as they're retaking it and doing it again, him trying to just hit that mark and take it so seriously. There's a richness that is just so genuine that comes out of this movie.
That's awesome.
And it was fun to watch. Yeah. Like this movie is 2 hours and 10 minutes, but it's not even a slow burn. It's a thrill ride. It's a roller coaster of a movie that just keeps going and going and going. And you don't want it to end. And when it ends, it's like, okay, you can breathe a little bit. You can rest. I'm going to give the Iron Claw 3.5 slices of toast.
Oh,
I don't know why not 4, but it's very close to 4. Yeah.
Nice. Dude.
Check it out, please.
100% checking this movie out. When I heard about it getting made, I was just like, okay, you've caught my attention. But now, having heard that, you've sold me. I'm definitely going to see this one.
Nice. Now, we both saw something. I saw it in the theater. You saw it at home, but it just came out in theaters last Friday. Yeah.
Yes, this is a not a follow-up, but an addendum to a storied franchise in cinema around the world, frankly, not just in the US, but Wonka, starring Timothée Chalamet, a sort of prequel to a Wonka storyline. Let's put it that way, I guess.
Feels more like the Gene Wilder, but it's up for debate.
I have some notes about that because we contradict several details.
Sure, we do.
The establishment of this film, but setting that aside,
I cut you off. Sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Here we have a very cold start with Timothée Chalamet's character Willy Wonka. He's on a ship covered in ice. He's been on the sea for 7 years. He's been traveling the world. He doesn't have any family left. He wants to put his roots down, and he wants to finally open his confectioner shop. He wants to open his chocolate shop. That was the dream of him and his mother's. And this is going to be the city. He does it. And I don't know what the city is because we are never told. It's just a place. And this is where it is.
Right.
It's immediately evident. Okay. It's a soft musical, not quite the same pace as the Gene Wilder 1971 Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory film. We get a couple of quick songs sprinkled in. We meet a few characters. I'm like, okay, all right, we're setting the pace. New in town is obviously working against him. We have the 3 big chocolatier companies who are very well established. They're all in cahoots. We're not going to let any new strangers come in, establish a foothold to try to sell their chocolate here. And he's quickly taken advantage of because of his kindness and his faith in other people. And he's an incredible debt is put on his head, like put on his back.
Oh yeah.
And he meets a whole other cast of characters who are also have similar debts that they are under. And we're trying to figure out how to get out from under this debt, get the store opened. And that's really it.
True.
For 2 hours. I don't know. I'm sorry. I know I probably tipped off my emotions about the film right away saying it that way. But let's be honest. Every motion of this movie, like every plot point, just moves at a snail's pace. We get some kind of clever jokes. We get some very interesting, by the way, incredible visuals. I think this movie looks really cool. The set design is beautiful. I mean, every single location I think looks fantastic. The wardrobe, by the way, out of all the films we talked about in this episode
Stunning.
that I reviewed, the wardrobe is really awesome. Everyone looks really good. The cast is fantastic. Everyone is doing their jobs well. What hangs me up is the dialogue and the story itself. It's I'm kind of waiting for the next moment to happen, and we are told what's going to happen, and then they do it. We get one little hiccup. We've established all of this magic, incredible ability. that apparently we've forgotten about, and now we're going to pretend like we can't do these things and go into the next scene. And that was kind of the issue for me going into this movie, was like, okay, I just saw Willy Wonka do this awesome thing. Wait, now all of a sudden he can't, or like, and this is where the movie just started to get kind of grating for me, is like every scene was kind of expecting you to forget what you could do previously, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I rambled a lot, Adam. Sorry. I took over the Wonka review, but
you son of a bitch.
I don't know. I just
well,
I had a tough time.
You know, I honestly, that's exactly how I went into the theater expecting the movie to go. But for me, I had a totally different take. I thought this movie was full of whimsy and wonder and fun, and I felt like every scene played at a decent pace for me. Like, we're just learning more stuff's happening. Like, okay, it felt like Paddington, because it was done by the guy that did the Paddington movies, Paul King. Fantastic. The cast, like you said, we got Timothée Chalamet, Hugh Grant, Olivia Colman, Keegan-Michael Key, Sally Hawkins, and a bunch of great actors. But I don't know. I felt like it was whimsical. I felt like the music was just enough. I felt like, yeah, there was a little bit too much CG. Sure, they kind of contradict a few things here and there. But for me, I really enjoyed every second. I like, for me, it was just having a good time and forgetting about the reality of life, and just not even thinking about the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Willy Wonka. I don't know. I just felt like if you look at it as its own standalone thing, it still works to me.
I can like call it its own movie, say the other ones never existed. I can forgive several of the details, like the Oompa Loompas. We undid all of that storyline of like established of how we got to them. That's fine. Let's set that aside. It was the like, he has the ability to do so many incredible things, and then in the next scene, all of a sudden he's panicking because there's some negative reaction or someone's working against him, and it's not like. He literally has shit in his pockets that could probably solve this issue.
He's a magician.
And it's like, okay, that was my problem.
Here's what I'll give you. Yeah, you're right. Nothing is at stakes here, really. Nothing. Exactly. He escapes from this prison workshop that he's in. He can flee from the law. He's not afraid of anybody. He's illiterate, but that doesn't stop him. Yeah, no, his candy doesn't look like candy.
Not. He reads stuff in the movie. He reads the sign on the store. Like, there's so many things that the movie that was my it
looks like it
was still charming. I will still say
it looks like we're on a set the whole time, which kills me. I will say, when he's in the Baker's Alley or whatever it is, I feel like I'm watching the Wizarding World. I feel like I'm watching the prequels to Harry Potter, the Wild Beast or whatever.
Yeah.
What's that?
No, I'm with it's like we're in Diagon Alley. No, I'm with you there because that's something Val even pointed out. It's like, this movie almost looks like it was made so that they could do a stage production of it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%.
You know, like, and I'm like, I'm okay with that. That honestly might be better. I think I would love to go see that.
And it's kind of like, it's odd. They're saving money so they can escape and pay their debts to Olivia Colman's character. But then they're like, hey, we pulled the money together to buy this shop. And hey, wow, we just turned this rundown place into the most wonderful place in the world. Oh, wow. People grew hair and turned a different color, and things are going shenanigans.
Like,
the world is getting destroyed because of wonder and whimsy. What a setback.
Ago, we saw people fucking flying after eating chocolate that they were given for free. And now we are going to take the interior of his fucking chocolate shop and smash it to pieces. It's just, we're going to break into this. I loved the whole getting into the zoo, meeting Abigail, I think was the name of the giraffe. He needed the giraffe's milk. I loved that very whimsical dialogue that he had with Noodle, and their relationship was fantastic. And sorry, folks, we briefly lost Adam, but he will come back very shortly. I appreciated all of these moments, and it was very heartfelt. It's just, it didn't quite sync up for me. I wanted to have that sort of, maybe call it childhood bias. I really loved the 71 Gene Wilder film. I also very much enjoyed the Tim Burton, Johnny Depp, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory film as well. Very different experiences, obviously. Excuse me. But they were different movies entirely. I can do the same thing with this one. Let's just call it a separate movie entirely. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's just the story didn't quite hit me as hard as I wanted it to. And here's the other thing. The songs, none of them really sunk their teeth in, like as charming as the characters were,
they felt a little forced.
What's his name? The guy that worked at the cleaners, the dude that first picks him up and with the dog. I love that.
Something's up.
Oh, I loved all of that stuff with them, and their characters were fun. It's just I wish the music was that. Nothing quite hooked like the original or the 71 film did. And they tease us with giving us a couple of the songs, the Oompa Loompa song and
the scores kind of,
Yes. And I get it. You tried to do it. I don't know. Even with Rowan, Mr. Bean himself couldn't quite save it for although I love Rowan.
I love that. The setup of like the hidden area that the candy the chocolates left at with the ninja site people, the wackiness.
Well, there's another thing. You establish like there's 50 chocolate,
but then they just get in
500 and we just scare them away. And one phone call, like one chocolate. Like that's my problem. Is like you said, every time we heighten the stakes, they are just whisked away. The only time we finally have something interesting, they're drowning in chocolate. We get a very bitter fucking Hugh Grant swooping in, who doesn't even want to be in the movie. That fucking saves the day. I was very excited for this, and I got to be honest, I was let down. I wanted more. There's still something to be had, and like you said, you just watch it for what this is on its own. I was touched. The stuff with his mother and when that final scene when I was just about fuck it. Can I?
Yeah. Without saying it, but that final scene, we'll say.
That final scene was so touching and heartwarming, and we had moments I very much appreciated, but it was counterbalanced with these other things. Like I really loved Keegan-Michael Key, but I feel like his character then got overplayed. And
the transformation that happened, that was a little unbelievable.
It was funny once,
a lot
of, but when they kept stacking it up, and it was just like, okay, I would rather see him do another song and dance, really get back into the movie. But fair enough. I appreciated the attempt. I appreciated taking this risk, I suppose. Really, it just, I don't know. I'm curious. What would your slice rating be for this one, my friend?
I think for me, I went in expecting to hate it. I walked out really enjoying it. But before I give that, the one thing that really stood out to me, one of these characters who is very close to Wonka might be associated with one of his enemies, and someone who might be against him later on in life. I was like, this character doesn't link up to what then happens, in my opinion. That really pissed me off.
It goes with the Oompa Loompa storyline. It's like, so it's an established brand that the consumer knows is a competing brand to Wonka, right? So why did all of a sudden we write it in a way, if anything, another character should have inherited a certain amount, or someone else should have. Anyways, I'm with you there. That pissed me off. So,
I'll say definitely flawed. There's flaws in this movie. Sure.
I want one little fun mention. Val actually got to meet the girl that plays Noodle.
Nice.
Worked with her back in the day when she was still up and coming. But when we did Gem Sister stuff, when she was working with them, she was in that circuit, and they would meet at events and stuff. But anyways, thought that was kind of fun, worth mentioning.
That's kind of cool.
I found.
being in there, knowing that. Yeah, flawed, 100%, sure, but a good
sure.
time and fun to me. That's what overweighs the flaws for me. I'm gonna give it 3 slices of toast, and I saw it on the big screen. You saw it on your TV watching a screener. I think being in the theater kind of sells it a little bit more.
That would help. Yes,
But
I especially
it doesn't
like we both said,
100%. But
Toasties, the visuals in this movie are fantastic. As CG and made up as most everything is, they did a very good job of blending the world back into it. I liked the style of everything. The time period was a little confusing, but I can forgive that. It doesn't really matter. It's just kind of fun to kind of let some of the props be what they are. The inventions that Wonka comes up with, I loved. I mean, we even pointed out the case where he keeps his chocolate, like all the ingredients.
Exquisite.
Beautiful. Like whoever built that thing, man, they did a beautiful job making that. And
right.
As well as many of the other props in this film, and as well all the sets too. It looked stunning. So I still have to give it some love. But obviously for my review, I didn't quite like it as much as you did. I'm giving it 2 slices of toast.
Still not terrible.
Not unwatchable. If you're curious, go check it out. Like, please, it's worth at least giving it a look. I'm sure I'm probably not, in the majority of the reviews of this thing. I feel like it's somewhere in the middle.
It's not made for 30-year-olds like us. It's probably made for a younger demographic than us for the most part.
If we had kids, families. I think this is who it's hitting, because there's references 100%. For us that we are supposed to catch.
Sure.
But the rest is
there's adultish things happening here
and fun for the kids. Like it's very much a family-centered film. The concept of family, the family you choose and the family you have are themes definitely here. And there's great times to be had here still. Don't get me wrong.
True.
May not be in love, but love is to be had in Wonka, that's for sure.
Fair enough. That I think brings us to the end pretty much.
That's it. That's our last review, folks. If you enjoyed what we had to say, if you didn't like what we had to say, please go leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, at the very least. Leave us some kind comments. If you don't want to go there, maybe you're not an Apple fan, check us out on some of the social media handles. We've got a few of them. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Likely you might be watching us in one of these places, at movie_toast or at Movie Toast News and Reviews. Please give us a follow, give us a like, leave us a few comments. At least let us know what you think of the show, and we'll try to make it as toasty as we possibly can.
Yeah, 100%. And like you said, we're at all these places. Every day there's new content coming out on these social media accounts. There's a new video, a new review, a new trailer reaction video. There's something. And so it's not just our podcast, it's many things. And it's a fun time, I think, if I'm not overstating it. There's something there for everyone. I don't know.
Like we said at the top of the show, we just had the film festival. If you guys are at all curious, please come check it out before it disappears. You got to.
It's going to be gone very soon.
Yes. It's a limited window.
Go search Movie Toast the Festival on YouTube or Movie Toast News and Reviews. You'll find our logo and just check it out, because we're pulling it down soon because we don't want people's stuff being up there too long. But we want people who didn't make it to the festival to go and check it out, because there's even some stuff that we did, some mini episodes in there. We got this little spoof of a home shopping network where we're trying to sell some DVDs and Blu-rays from Warner Brothers that we got. We're interviewing people who've won awards in our festival. It's I don't know, it's something different.
Yeah, it's a fun time, and it's the biggest festival that we've done so far out of the 3 years. So please check it out before it disappears, and then you only get to see little fragments of it. Then you got to wait until next year, which is totally happening again. Don't you worry.
Right? Yeah.
Boy.
But yeah. Like this was a little longer than most episodes we've done recently, but we tag teamed some stuff. We got in depth on a few things, and if you don't want to do any of that shit that Dennis said earlier, you don't want to give us a review, you don't want to check us out on the social medias, we just ask one simple thing of you.
Please have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and stay toasty.
Don't forget Kwanzaa. Don't forget
Happy and the Kwanzaa too, my
Other
friends,
things?
of course. Everything else,
but
all
not New
them
Year.
holidays.
Not New Year, because like I said, we're coming back before the New Year.
Jeez, love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Whew. Oh, by the way, did you see our mini episode? We had that poll that we're talking about what should happen with Kang and Jonathan Majors. They finally announced that he's gone, he's out, he's no longer Kang. So
Figures,
what we
once
wanted to see happened.
right. Once he was convicted, he was found guilty. That kind of
Yeah.
Disney. Ain't
Good thing
fucking
they
around
got
with
that fucking
anymore.
season 2 of Loki out when they did.
Right.
But I'm still intrigued to see what happens if they follow with variants or if they just do a different Avengers or if they so many
I feel like
options.
they're gonna get creative in the next one. They've done so well previously that
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect any less.
Right. Well, I guess that ends it for this episode. Thank you all for listening and watching.
Thank you for joining.
Happy holidays. Stay toasty. Sayonara, Sammy.